एक दूसरे से मुलाकात की। और ख़ास तौर पर जब हम इमैनुअल मैक्रों और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी का जिक्र करते हैं, दोनों ही की जो दोस्ती है वो बहुत अहम, बहुत प्रगाढ़। जब भी प्रधानमंत्री अभी हाल ही में जब फ्रांस गए थे तब भी हमने देखा कि किस गर्मजोशी के साथ राष्ट्रपति इमैनुअल मैक्रों ने प्रधानमंत्री का स्वागत किया था। वही गर्मजोशी, वही ऊष्मता और वही पॉजिटिविटी दोनों की बॉडी लैंग्वेज में हमने अभी देखी। तो ये द्विपक्षीय जो बैठकें होनी है G20 शिखर सम्मेलन से इत्र, इसमें भी कई ऐसी अहम मुद्दे हैं जिन पर चर्चा होना स्वाभाविक है, जिसमें हम बात करते हैं क्लाइमेट चेंज को लेकर, जिसमें हम बात करते हैं सप्लाई चेन जो कि डिस्ट्रप्टेड है उसे सुचारू रूप से कैसे विकसित और विकासशील देश मिलकर आगे लेकर आएंगे, जिसका जिक्र प्रधानमंत्री ने अपने कल दो जो सत्र थे दोनों में किया। जब उन्होंने स्वास्थ्य क्षेत्र को लेकर जो दूसरा सत्र था अपना वक्तव्य वहां दिया, और साथ ही साथ जब बात की गई ऊर्जा और खाद्य सुरक्षा को लेकर, आज जो डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है उसको लेकर तीसरा सत्र, उसमें भी प्रधानमंत्री के वक्तव्य पर दुनिया भर की नजरें होंगी। तो ये जो दोस्ती है, ये जो रिश्तों की गर्माहट है, प्रगति की नई इबारत दोनों देशों के बीच इतर G20 सम्मेलन से जो द्विपक्षीय बैठक है, ये इसी ओर इशारा करती है।
All right, so pictures on your screen are of the bilateral that's taken place between India and France. Prime Minister Modi with Emmanuel Macron over there. Let's go across on the phone line to Abhishek Kapoor, our senior executive editor. Abhishek, it's a very key session that's being held between India and France. Now, we are given to understand, of course, the focus continues to remain on food, energy security, as well as other outstanding issues that could help the Indian economy grow faster.
Well, I can tell you that over the last decade or so, particularly last 5-6 years, France has really emerged as India's most trusted, reliable, strategic defense partner. It's just not about Rafale, it's about many submarines, it's about France's position, which is absolutely supportive of India and Indian concerns on platforms like the United Nations. And in the pictures, the clear warmth getting reflected between the two leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Emmanuel Macron. I mean, much of it is actually because of the kind of chemistry that exists between the two. Remember, Prime Minister was the first leader who, landed in Paris just a few hours after Emmanuel Macron got his second term, and Prime Minister was returning from his India-Scandinavia summit, I believe, and that really gives you an idea. Prime Minister was there just for a couple of hours in Paris, but underscored the special nature of the relationship, and that's getting reflected here in the picture. So France's evolving position on Indo-Pacific, France's support of India at the United Nations, France's continued or increased role in India's defense architecture, which I said is not limited to Rafale, and they're dovetailing of many of their projects into Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat philosophy. So I think in that sense, France is an important partner in Europe. Also, remember, in the ongoing Europe war, France has relatively been a voice of reason in terms of not being shrill, not taking sides, and generally sounding a voice of calm. So I think in that sense, the two nations really have a lot to exchange. This is, of course, on the sidelines of the G20 summit, so not a bilateral like a full-fledged summit, but this is clearly a build-up to not just India's presidency of G20, which pans out beginning next month, and which would see these same leaders again, this time coming to New Delhi, and the dates have been announced, I think sometime in November next year. But in the pictures clearly, and other picture, of course, of President Joe Biden saying a hello, a very American style, or an American president style to Prime Minister Modi, who acknowledges with a wave of hand. That was earlier in the day when the leaders were in a retreat at a mangrove outside of Bali. And to the left, of course, to the right of viewers can really see the chemistry that exists between Emmanuel Macron of France and Prime Minister Modi as they head into a short bilateral on the sidelines of G20 summit. Of course, Prime Minister has a busy day. He has about half a dozen odd similar bilateral plans, including with leaders of Spain, of Singapore, of Indonesia, and of course in the case of France, the meeting already happening.
Oh yes, absolutely, Abhishek. Of course, as you're pointing out, key bilaterals taking place. But Abhishek, we also wanted to understand whether the issue of those 2 missiles that fell on Poland is, according to you, going to figure at all in what happens today, because the Prime Minister in his speech yesterday, from India's point of view, said very clearly that this is not the time of war, and then these 2 stray missiles have fallen into Poland. We are given to understand that there will be a separate meeting of the G7 countries as well. So give us a sense of how much do you think that is going to weigh in on today's meetings?
Oh, that was a serious scare, Nupur, and diplomats scrambled. We saw the National Security Council of Poland meeting, and NATO fire alarms sort of ringing. But it seems that it has been taken care of. There was, in fact, a NATO leaders meet on the sidelines of G20 summit also because of all the scares have really gone haywire. Prime Minister's meeting, some of those bilaterals have been rescheduled. But I think the announcement made by President Biden that it's unlikely that the source of the missiles happens to be in Russia sort of should calm down the tempers and temperature, so to say. The markets have reacted adversely. But after that announcement, I think calm should prevail, that those missiles most likely were a case of, misfiring from the Ukrainian side, though of course, leaving 2 dead, 2 Polish citizens dead. But as of now, sort of any escalation seems to have been discounted. Remember, Poland being a member of NATO and the Article 5 making it a joint responsibility that if any member is attacked, it's seen as an attack on NATO. But as of now, it seems a better sense has prevailed, and very conciliatory tone coming in from President Biden himself.
Absolutely, but Abhishek, that exactly is the point. There's still a war on, and even a small escalation can throw things awry, as we've just noticed. As you mentioned yourself, there was a lot of talk yesterday. Everything had to be rescheduled. There was a bit of a scramble, and today, of course, President Biden had to come out and make that statement. Thereafter, things appear to be a little calmer. But the fact is that even a small stray incident like this one in a war zone can turn things around. And, that perhaps is a point that would have been made.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the global reaction and the markets are a barometer of how they see events panning out. So there was a real scare that this could have really gone out of hand and escalated. And the initial comments coming in from all sides, with the Ukrainians, in fact, perhaps being most provocative, one could say, because they clearly suggested that this is a Russian act and Russia should be punished immediately. I think a better sense has prevailed, both with though of course the Polish government did summon the Russian envoy to the Polish capital and to Warsaw and to Krakow, and subsequently we have seen some explanation coming in from the Russian side also, a formal denial in fact coming in from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I think in that sense the diplomatic scramble that I said happened has really taken care of things, with the ultimate comment coming in from President Biden, where he has cleared the air and made it known that it's unlikely that, given the trajectory of the missiles, they came from the Russian side. Though, of course, investigation would go on. The Americans have said that they would help Polish authorities complete the investigation. But as of now, things seem to be calming down. And so far as the Polish missile crisis is concerned, as of now, it seems that things have been taken care of as well.
All right, Abhishek Kapoor, Senior Executive Editor, joining us on that. Thank you very much for that. So pictures on your screens are of the Prime Minister meeting his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron. A lot of trade as well as defense ties perhaps were discussed. But do remember that India, of course, assumes the role of the presidency of the G20 today.